So losing a sense of autonomy and self in an abusive relationship. So what autonomy is the freedom to act or function independently. So this goes both with the political spectrum and on a personal level. So in the political spectrum, so let's say that you have a government that's tyrannical. And so if you try to speak out against the government and that's tyrannical, then you'll be punished, right? So you have the lack of autonomy, the freedom to function or act independently. This also goes on a personal level as well, because you start losing autonomy in abusive relationships most of the time. And what that is, it's part of the grooming process and the conditioning process with the abuser. And this is how they start making you lose autonomy. It's because, for one thing, they're making you digress as a person slowly. This is a period of like constant walking on eggshells. You got to be careful what you say, because over time you saw that certain things that you say, if you try to stand up for yourself, if you're calling them out for their bad behavior, start creating narcissistic injuries or injuries to the abuser's ego, then you start walking on eggshells, because now you have to be extremely careful what you say now, because they told you they didn't like it, and if you do that, they're going to punish you. And also too, it's part of the process where they make you feel guilty if their needs are not being met. It's like you're not even trying hard enough. So over time, is that you start sacrificing your own time to give more to theirs, to fill their bucket up more, and then next thing you know, your bucket's pretty much almost depleted. And so you don't have that energy for yourself anymore. So you start losing yourself because you're not engaging in the things that you love. You're being taken away more from your family, friends, going out doing the things that you love. And that starts being diminished. And also too, it's the constant gaslighting. It's the altering of your reality. And this is like one of the most common tactics for them to take away your sense of self, because now you're confused. Now you need their validation to make sure that everything's lined up with reality. And what's happening is that, of course, they're altering your reality. They want their needs met, so this is how they manipulate. And so, your own needs are not being met, and you have to comply, or else you're going to get things like the silent treatment, you're going to get the ghosting, and the other vindictive outcomes, because they're extremely, extremely petty people. And I'm not kidding. Like, when I mean petty, I mean they'll hold on to the smallest things and create a grudge out of it, and you won't even know why you're being treated the way you are days later, even days later. I'm not even kidding. And another thing to throw out there is their lack of acknowledgement for the other partner's feelings and needs. And this comes from the abusers and narcissist lack of empathy, and it's meant to take your sense of self, because they need their own emotional needs regulated. Yours, they can care less, to be honest. They'll tell you nice things, they'll do this and that for you every now and then, but it's only just part of the grooming process. It's part of like sucking you in. That's why it's so hard to get out of these relationships. And if they weren't listening to you over most of the relationship when it was happening, I'm telling you, they weren't really listening to you. That's just how it is with these type of people. And in order to regain your sense of self, to be honest, you have to step away from these relationships. I mean, what's the hardest thing in the world that, it is stepping away from someone that you emotionally got attached to, someone that you put in a lot of effort into. That's very difficult. I understand that. But if you notice that you cannot be yourself around this person, that's saying a lot. And that's also not a way to live. I mean, if you're going to be looking in the mirror and you don't feel like yourself, like, that's horrible. You should be able to feel confident in the way you talk, and not be careful of what you say all the time just because you're going to hurt someone's feelings. No, but if it comes from a good standpoint, and you're trying to fix a situation, it's okay to be a little tough and, be straightforward, you know. But when you're noticing that this person's extremely hypersensitive to any form of criticism, that's a huge red flag. And then you don't have to be walking on eggshells for other people to please them. You start becoming a people pleaser at that point in a lot of ways. And I know that could be, because I'm most likely talking about an intimate partner here. It could be another, person, like a friend or anything like that. But and this tends to happen a lot more in intimate partners with the abuser. All right. And so the last thing you want is to lose who you are, because it's going to be a lot tougher to collect all the pieces back and put them together to feel whole again. And so the sooner that you start getting out of these relationships, once you identify that this relationship is toxic and you feel on edge all the time, that's not healthy. That starts creating, even physical health problems, besides emotional health problems, And so I know it's easier said than done, but once you come out of these relationships, you do start feeling whole again, and you start feeling great. You start feeling like yourself again, and you start doing the things that you love again. That's where you want to be.